3 months away felt brief to the world, yet for him each night stretched endlessly, haunted by silence and a promise he feared breaking. The mansion stood unchanged, tall and polished, but his heart trembled as the car slowed, sensing something unseen waiting beyond the gates. He stepped onto the lawn, breath tight, eyes scanning for a small figure he dreamed of daily, yet feared he might no longer deserve. Memories rushed back of the day he chose her, a fragile child, trusting eyes, and a bond signed not by ink, but by tears. The air felt heavy, every step louder than thunder, as if the ground itself questioned why he had stayed away so long. From a distance, a tiny shape bent low, struggling under a burden too big, too cruel, for shoulders meant only for play. His chest tightened as recognition flickered, doubt fighting hope. Because love prepares you for joy, not for scenes like this. He froze, unable to move, watching her small hands work silently, unaware that fate had returned, broken and breathless. The world narrowed to that moment, where wealth meant nothing and time demanded an answer he could not delay. Behind him, whispers of past choices echoed, reminding him how absence can wound deeper than any spoken cruelty. He took one step forward, then stopped, as fear whispered that he might no longer be the father she waited for. And in that pause, with his heart on the edge, destiny prepared to reveal whether love had survived the distance. He watched her closer now, each fragile movement striking his soul as the truth of her days without him slowly surfaced. The bag on her back sagged heavy, filled with scraps, and his breath shook, realizing this was not a game, but survival. 3 months ago he left her laughing, wrapped in comfort. Now silence clung to her like a second, colder skin. His fists tightened as guilt surged, every luxury he owned mocking him while she labored on the grass like this. She bent lower, hair hiding her face, unaware her father stood steps away, breaking under a sight he never imagined. Each second stretched cruelly, his mind racing with questions no excuse could answer and no money could erase. The mansion behind her gleamed proudly, yet before it stood a child abandoned by time, love tested by distance. He tried to call her name, but his voice failed, trapped beneath tears that burned hotter than shame. A single sob escaped him as he realized how deeply absence had changed the world she lived in. His knees weakened, pride collapsing, replaced by a desperate need to run, to hold her, to undo everything. But fear chained his feet, fear that she might look up and not recognize the man who promised forever. And as he stood trembling, her small hand paused mid-motion, sensing something powerful had returned. She slowly lifted her head, eyes tired yet alert, as if her heart recognized a presence her mind dared not trust again. For a moment they stared, the space between them heavy with missed nights, broken routines, and words never spoken aloud. Her fingers loosened around the scrap, trembling slightly, while confusion mixed with hope inside her guarded gaze. He saw it then, the change in her eyes, a child forced to grow cautious, love replaced by careful survival. The sight pierced him deeper than any loss, knowing his absence had taught her not to expect anyone to return. She took a hesitant step back, unsure if this vision was real or another wish she could not afford. His knees gave way as tears finally fell, silent apologies spilling from a heart drowning in regret. The world blurred around him, wealth and power dissolving into nothing beside the fear of losing her trust forever. She whispered his name, barely audible, testing the sound as if it might vanish if spoken too loudly. That single word shattered him completely, carrying 3 months of pain, waiting, and unanswered prayers. He reached out slowly, afraid sudden movement might push her further into doubt and distance. And in that fragile silence, love stood wounded but alive, waiting for courage to bridge the broken time. He dropped the briefcase without thought, wealth spilling into grass that had witnessed her quiet suffering every single day. Slow steps carried him forward, each one heavy with regret, afraid she might retreat if he moved too fast. Her eyes followed him closely now, fear and longing colliding as memories of safety fought recent lessons of pain. She clutched the sack tighter, instinct built from months of uncertainty, not yet ready to release her shield. His voice broke as he spoke her name, the sound raw, stripped of authority, filled only with pleading love. She blinked hard, tears forming, as if afraid that blinking might erase him like a dream she once trusted. The distance between them shrank, yet felt vast, measured in lonely nights and unanswered questions. He knelt on the grass, lowering himself to her world, no longer towering, no longer powerful, only a father. Her small feet shifted forward, then stopped. Courage battling fear learned too young and too deeply. A tear slipped down his face, falling to the ground, a silent confession louder than any promise. She finally loosened her grip on the bag, letting it slide off her shoulders as hope dared to breathe again. And in that surrender, the past cracked open, making space for a moment that could heal or break them both. She stepped into his arms at last, small and shaking, and the world seemed to exhale as if it had waited for this reunion. He held her tightly, careful yet desperate, afraid that letting go even for a breath might steal her away again. Her tears soaked his suit, but he welcomed them, knowing each drop washed away months of guilt and silence. "I waited," she whispered, a simple truth that struck harder than any accusation or anger ever could. His sob broke free then, raw and helpless, as he realized love had endured where presence had failed. He kissed her hair again and again, promising with actions now, not words, that distance would never return. The mansion behind them no longer felt cold, but humbled, as if walls and wealth bowed to this fragile bond. She wrapped her arms tighter, fear melting into relief, finally believing that fathers can come back. Time slowed, granting them a mercy moment where pain softened and trust began its quiet return. He lifted her gently, not as a savior, but as a man learning how deeply a child can reshape a soul. Around them, silence turned warm, carrying the weight of forgiveness neither needed to ask for aloud. And in that embrace, he learned the truth that made him weep. Love is not proven by riches, but by never leaving again. Love is not measured by how much you provide, but by how often you show up when someone needs you most. Absence can wound deeper than harsh words, especially in the heart of a child who waits without understanding. Promises mean little without presence, and time away can quietly change the ones who depend on us. Wealth can build houses, but only care and consistency can build a feeling called home. Children remember moments,
not excuses, and they feel silence more sharply than loss. True responsibility begins when comfort ends, and accountability replaces pride. A single return cannot erase pain, but sincere remorse can begin healing. Love survives not because it is strong, but because it is chosen again and again. Kneeling down, listening, and admitting fault often heal more than grand gestures. Forgiveness grows where effort is visible, not where explanations are loud. The deepest tears are born when we realize what we almost lost. In the end, being there matters more than being important.